Have you ever been in a relationship, either romantic or even just a friendship, where someone has a mental illness and you're really not sure how you're supposed to love them or what's the right way and what's the wrong way? Well, don't worry, because that's what I'm here to do. And stay tuned to the very end of the video to find out my personal tips on how I love somebody that has a mental illness. Tip number 1, be a good listener. Be that open ear. Don't speak, just sit down with that person and just let them kind of unload onto you. I know it seems like a lot when you're sitting with that person, you're kind of like, ooh, I'm overwhelmed, but it's really, really good to be an open ear, and it makes the person feel so much less alone. Tip number 2, don't blame them for their anxiety or their depression or any kind of mental illness that they have. Because if you don't understand it, they probably don't understand it either. Remember, it's all the things going on in their brain that they can't control. So don't blame them. That's the worst thing to do. Tip number 3, if you don't understand, the other person doesn't understand, what you can do for them is research, because that person is probably not going to go out and research things on Google, because Google, believe me, is your worst freaking nightmare when you have a mental illness. So do them a favor and just research on it. If they're having an anxiety attack, research their different triggers and find out different coping mechanisms for them that you can help them with. Tip number 4, if they need space, give them that space. If, just because they need space doesn't mean that they don't love you. Just know that sometimes when your mind is filled with all these thoughts and brain chatter, you just need to kind of take yourself away and just hide in a corner. I know a lot of people, when you think of depression, you think of them hiding in a corner, putting their heads down. And you know what? Sometimes that's really what happens, because people need to be alone sometimes and just try to process. And if they really want to go through these emotions and really try to fake it till they make it and really try to convince themselves that they're happy, let them do that. Don't try to pressure them into going for a walk, into writing things down. If they don't want to do that, let them be by themselves. But just remember, it has nothing to do with you. It's all to do with them, and they're just trying to get through whatever it is they're going through. Tip number 5 is be honest, but don't give advice. Now, as a person, even without a mental illness, we don't really like to take advice. We feel a little offended when people are like, hey, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. Somebody that has a mental illness knows what they should be doing most of the time, but they don't need to hear that, because anxiety and depression or any type of mental illness is not something that you can just go for a walk and it goes away. It doesn't happen like that. So when you have advice, say, hey, do you want my advice? Or how much research have you done? Let me help you, And if they don't want it, say, okay, step back and be like, okay, when you want that help, just let me know and I'll be there for you. Everybody is different, and not everybody needs reassurance and constant love, but I am, and it really does help. So maybe next time your girlfriend or your boyfriend is experiencing some sort of mental break, just shower them with love. Maybe write them a little note or give them a little gift or buy them flowers. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to spend money. But it's just that showering of love and reassurance that's really important to somebody that is having these insecure and kind of irrational thoughts. So that's all I have for today. If you liked this video or found it somewhat helpful, click the like button below and share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. Now you know how to love somebody with a mental illness, and it kind of maybe would make it a little bit easier, but I want to know if you have anything different that might help me for myself or somebody else that I love. So if you do have a tip, leave it down below in the comments, and we'll see you next Thursday for a new video.